Stay tuned for more stimulating conversation.
What's your next dream? Paying off your credit card? Remodeling your kitchen? Whatever your dreams, they take some planning. I'm State Farm Agent Emerson Williams. Let's work together to come up with a plan to make those savings goals happen. Call me at 615-459-2683.
Hello, everybody. This is Coach Scott Oatsfall with LT360, and we are proud sponsors of Simplicity Radio with Angela Bingham. LT360 is an all-natural healthcare company specializing in getting people healthy at the cellular level while nurturing the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. We're an all-natural healthcare, so if you struggle with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or you're looking to get off your medication and change your life, then you can give us a call at 615-815-0390 or lt360.com. And again, you're listening to Simplicity Radio with my sister, woman of power and faith, Angela Bingham.
You're listening to Simplicity Sunday with your host, Angela Bingham, broadcasting live on your good neighbor station, News Radio WGNS, every Sunday from 6 until 7 p.m. Thanks for tuning into the show, and remember, 1 hour of simplicity can change your life in Jesus Christ.
Gentlemen, welcome to Simplicity with Angie B,
Angie Renee,
Missy D,
and
Taylor.
And we are here because of you. Good evening, everyone. Simplicity just means to simplify your life. When you find the unconditional love of God and He gives you your purpose and the peace of God that passes all understanding, then whatever you do, your purpose in life, you can do it with passion.
Yeah.
And when you do it with passion, God is so wonderful that He has a plan already made for you. And when you're walking in that plan, guess what? You wake up every day and saying, what next, Lord? And God will enlarge your territory.
Amen.
Once again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Angie B, along with my Simplicity team, Team Simplicity. Watch out, nation. Here we come. And we're not coming apologetically. Apologetically, we're coming unapologetically.
Yeah.
There we go. See, trying to get tongue-tied when I'm talking prophecy. We are going to be all global. Just watch. Wait and watch God. He's doing miraculous things with His people. He got us everywhere. He got us in government, schools, churches, homes, name it. We are there, and we're coming with a vengeance. We're taking over, and we're going to take over with dominion.
Yeah.
Hey,
Amen.
right there. Okay. All righty. Thank you. But some of us are listening to...
You are listening to Simplicity Sunday on WGNS Radio FM 1019, FM 100.5, and AM 1440. And you can catch us on WGNSradio.com and click on down to Simplicity, or stream us live on YouTube /@News Radio WGNS Live.
And Taylor, take it from there. Tell us some more, please.
And make sure that you follow us on Instagram @Simplicity Radio.
And we have so much for our audience. And we're going to announce our sweepstakes Oh, that was so wonderful. We love you all. If nobody has told you that you are loved today, we want to tell you from Team Simplicity. We love you and God loves you. And you're here for a reason. You matter. And our guest today, OMG, just reading a brief bio. I'm like, God, you are doing great things. And I pray your territory is enlarged even beyond your wildest dream. Okay?
You talking about me?
I'm talking about you.
Yes, sir.
And look, when I pulled up beside, I said, oh my OMG. I said, Lord, don't let me hit the car. Don't let me do nothing because I cannot afford it.
Yes.
But I've always wanted to ride and drive in those. And my cousin drove me around. And when I tell you, I was scared because they go up to, how fast do they drive up to?
It says 200 on the dash. But
Well, I think
It's
he
a
was
Corvette, right?
Corvette.
Okay. And clarify.
And, clarify the blue Corvette, electric blue. And I think he went about 120, and my heart was in the back seat. And
Only
there's
your
no
heart.
back seat.
Only your heart was in the back seat. You did good.
But Andrew Renee, tell us about our guest, Team Simplicity. We are in for a ride with the people that God is bringing through this studio in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And when we get these celebrities in like you, we're moving on up. Now come on with it.
That's right. Okay. Good evening, everyone. First, we want to announce the Simplicity Sweepstakes winner. Woo! We, for the past, actually weekly, this entire month, we have mentioned our Simplicity Sweepstakes and how we were going to have the winner of the sweepstakes to come in the studio and join us at the desk.
Yes.
Well, today we get to find out who our winner is, and that winner is Miss Millette Milliken. Woo! Congratulations, Millette. We are so excited, and we cannot wait to see you here at the desk with us. All right, now fun fact. Marie Van Britten Brown, an African-American nurse and inventor, Marie Van Britten Brown contributed to a safer society with the invention of the very first home security system with the assistance of her husband, Albert Brown, who was an electronics technician. Her invention was the first closed-circuit television security system, and it paved the way for the modern home security systems used today. In 1969, Brown and her husband received a patent for the invention, was recognized in the New York Times, and she also received an award from the National Scientist Committee for her work. This is Marie Van Britten Brown. All right. Now,
And ladies and gentlemen, just a pause for the cause. If you have a fun fact for Team Simplicity,
Yes.
please send it in, and you can send it to our email.
at teamsimplicityradio@yahoo.com.
Awesome.
All right. So now we get to introduce all of you, or maybe present to some, introduce to others, our in-studio guest for today, Representative Vincent Dixie. Vincent Dixie is a businessman, politician, and a Democratic member of the Tennessee House of Representatives, representing District 54 since 2019. Dixie is one of 32 freshman members of the 111th Tennessee General Assembly. He succeeded Brenda Gilmore after she was sworn into the Tennessee Senate. Dixie is the first Black to be the chairman of the Democratic House Caucus. Dixie is married to wife Erica, and together they have two beautiful daughters. Welcome, Representative Dixie.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Your energy is like different. It's really different.
Yes,
you know, I
absolutely.
was like, oh man, I gotta go up there at 6 o'clock in the evening. But I'm like, you got me ready. I'm ready
All
to go.
right. All right.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I really believe that God has given you power to change viewpoints and change culture mindsets. And you know, sometimes we can be narrowed into a hole, but I do believe that when God gives you that grace to do what you do, I know you're not taking it for granted. I know this.
Well, you know, we have praying mothers and praying
Yes,
Come
grandmothers.
on
thank
now.
you, Lord.
That I don't think I'll be here without it. So.
Yes,
And
yes.
praying
Amen.
aunties too.
Come on.
Oh, especially this year, we definitely need that in the General Assembly. Luckily, I was able to meet one of my colleagues before this show, Mike Sparks. and,
Yes,
Yeah.
we love him.
what people don't realize is that we probably agree on about 80 to 85% of that stuff.
Wow.
But that 15% is just it's so controversial, and then it's widespread. But for the most part, we do agree on a lot of stuff, and how we go about it is a little bit different. But hopefully, we can take a little break this summer and realize, like, get refocused on why we're here,
Yeah.
what we're here to
Wow.
do, and it's to make Tennesseans' lives better and kind of push the politics aside.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I always say government is for the people. And I say that's selfless. But politics is for yourself. And that's selfish.
Well, government should happen for the people, not to
Amen.
people.
Well, amen.
That's
Amen.
good. That's good.
Yes.
You can borrow that.
no charge.
All right. Well, the topic for tonight's conversation is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, a discussion on women's rights. And I'm sure everyone is wondering, well, why do we have a male representative here to discuss women's rights? Well, whether we realize it or not, we need allies. If the fight is just by women for women, we're not going to move the needle as much as if we have allies like you who are in the fight with us, who understand as a husband and father to 2 daughters how important it is that you support women having rights.
I thought I was here because I was an expert on women. I guess
That too, we just
I
didn't
guess
say
that
it.
you put it on that way and that way. I guess okay, you're right. I do have some experience with a wife and 2 daughters.
Oh, yes.
So I've been trained very well. So,
That sounds good. Congratulations, Erica.
Right. Thank you, Erica.
yeah, I was giving my good talk before I left the house. Make sure you do this. Do that. Yes, ma'am.
You know what?
Oh,
Let me
that's
say
right.
this. This came to me. I said, men, that we let you all think it through, and then women fine specimens that we are, we come and straighten it out.
Yeah. Hey, you always need that balance.
That's
Yes,
right.
yes,
That's
yes,
what balance is a
yes.
good word for
What
it.
would
It
James,
is.
what did James Brown say? It's a man's world, but wouldn't be anything without a woman.
That's
Come on.
right, that's
Come on,
right.
That's right.
Go on,
We
James
soften
Brown.
things up.
That's right.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started on our conversation tonight. So, Representative Dixie or Vincent?
Vincent is fine.
Okay,
we've
I
been
know you.
knowing each
I
other,
know
yeah,
you as
so.
Vincent, but I want to make sure. You know, I want to
that's
be
fine.
respectful.
Now the rest of y'all, no.
Okay, I'll just say Rep B.
No, Vincent is fine. Vincent or Vince. I've been called a lot worse. So
And for the record, Vincent and I have known each other since 7th grade.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ewan Park Elementary, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So we go way back, way back. All right. So Vincent, first question: why do you think that every single conversation surrounding women's rights is so controversial, and why do you think there exists a mindset to reduce our unalienable rights? What is it
That's
about
2
women?
questions.
It is.
One,
I'm sorry.
no, I think anytime you have a hard conversation, they're going to be difficult to just start. But I don't understand. I think if there's something that's uncomfortable, then that means we need to talk about it. Right. So it's like, let's just get in and talk about it, whether it comes to race, politics, religion. Those are things we were always taught, like, oh, don't talk about it.
Taboo.
Now we haven't talked about it because we haven't talked about it in so long. Now we are confronted with these issues because we haven't talked about it. We don't know how to relate to each other. And we have to learn how to disagree and be disagreeable, but still be agreeable with each other. And
That's
it's
good.
okay for us not to have the same viewpoint. It's okay.
Yes.
But it's not for me to impress my view on you.
Right.
And then
Right.
when it goes back to the inalienable rights is, as a man, I can't have a baby. And I can help make one, but I can't have a baby. So who am I to tell a woman what she can do with her body? And when I first started in politics, and my girls, when they were 10 and 12, and they had to understand, before I ran for office, I said, listen, if I do this, sometimes what I do is going to conflict with your school. It's going to impact you. Not conflict, but it's going to impact you. They was like, oh, yeah, right, yeah, whatever. So they went on the, what's it called, the Relay for Life? Or
Yes.
Relay for Life.
That all-day event.
Yeah, and they wanted, it was in Washington, D.C., and they wanted to go. And I was like, well, babe, you can't go. And I was like, I fight for women's rights, and that's an anti-abortion thing. And I was like, this just not, I don't think that's going to be kosher. And I said, well, I'm going to explain to you why, and I'm going to let you make your own decision. But I'm going to tell you why I think you shouldn't go, but you make your own decision. I said, I'm a man. I said, do you think I should be able to tell you what to do with your body for the rest of your life? And they were like, no. And that was the only conversation we had to have. Now, they formed their own opinions about abortion, and we understand we don't believe that abortion is should be used as birth control.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Amen. Right.
But there are instances where it is absolutely life-saving health care, and we should not take that away from between that decision between a woman, her doctor, and her family, and God. That's it. I have no business in that discussion, and I shouldn't make laws to around that. So I know you didn't ask me that, but I'm going to put it out there now. So you can ask me anything about abortion or whatever you want to. I'm okay with that, because we have to have these conversations. We're not going to always agree on everything, but you can understand why I feel the way I do, and I can understand why you feel the way you do.
Absolutely. And like when we talk about the issues, like you said, the conversations that we choose not to have, but now it's time to put them on the table and not make them so taboo, But my stance is that everybody has choice. And the reason I believe that is because when God took my life and changed it, I could say yes to him or I could say no to him, but he still loved me. And that changed my whole mindset about a lot of situations in world, politics and government and the questions that we fight on. And when God gives us choice, nobody can take that away. Nobody. I don't care if you're, however you choose to vote, not vote. There is something that in each one of us that we know that we have a right to do. But I think it's when you are guided by what you have come out of in your culture, that influences us more than anything that we know. And so I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to ask you that when I am a teacher, and I always thought that teachers do not make enough money. I do believe that they pay me a stipend, but I do not get a salary. Now, on that, even in the workforce, when women have opportunity to do the same job, and have the same education, but yet there is no equal pay. What do you have to say on that, and how can you change that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go back to one thing you said. You said you don't care how people vote or don't vote. Well, I just want to correct one little thing. I don't care how you vote, but you better go vote.
Please.
Amen. I agree with
How
that.
you go
Yeah.
vote. Make sure you go
Yes.
vote. Now, my wife is an educator, and so she's been a teacher for 25, going on 26 years. She probably don't,
Awesome.
it's hard to believe that she's been teaching that long when she's only 29 years
That's
old.
right. That's right. She sure is.
Let me clean that up.
Yeah.
quickly. So I want to make sure I get that out there. So, we
Right.
see firsthand of things that we have to do come out of our pocket to pay to make sure
Yes.
she has in a class. And the things for kids, like sometimes she would bring home some shoes. She brought home some shoes that when her kids were wearing, the bottom of the soles.
Yes.
I was like, here, just do whatever you got to do. Take them. We keep extra pairs of clothes in the school and trying to get washing machines in the school. Some of the things that we do to kind of supplement, because these are some of the essential
I like
essential
that.
things that they may not have at home. But if you notice they're wearing the same outfit 2 and 3 times a week, it's probably a problem. And one thing I will commend the governor on is he has tried to make it a priority when we give the money for teacher pay raises, that it actually goes to teachers. Because
Hallelujah.
what happens is,
Right.
especially in the smaller counties, we may say, all right, you'll get, your allocation is $2 million. Well, that school may need a roof, or it may need something else, or
See.
or if they need another kindergarten teacher, where does that money come from? So they'll use that money to try to plug in these holes, and it won't go directly to what it's made for. And a lot of people don't realize that. So when in 2 years ago, when the governor said this money is specifically for teacher pay raises, it went straight for that, and he was able to earmark that. So he's been trying to raise the pay raise, and you're gonna laugh at me with this, but this is the truth. And I know it might sound a little misogynist, but if you really want to see pay rates go up, men have to become more teachers.
I believe that.
And once men get in those
that.
positions, you will see it go up. Now, I believe in, if equal pay rate for equal work, there shouldn't be any discount to that, because we trust our kids with teachers. They're really teaching and molding our kids most of the time. They're not babysitting. And we treat them as if they're like second-class citizens when it comes to work. And even in Davidson County, and it's getting this way in Rutherford County, it's hard to live and work here because the pricing and housing is just going up and up, and the pay rate is not going up in parallel with that. So there's a problem, but hopefully we can work on that. Hopefully we get. I think there's one thing that we all agree on, that teachers deserve more pay, because we put so much on them.
Wait, stop right there. Say that again.
We do. We put so much on. I sit on the education committee, and so we do put a lot on teachers. And every year it's like testing.
Right.
And it's like, well, when do they get time to teach? When the problem is, and you heard it here first.
Okay.
You got a bunch of people in there, a bunch of men. A bunch of white men in there making laws for people who've never sat in a classroom.
Amen.
And we don't have the stakeholders at the table and say, hey, this is what we do. I promise, and this is the God's honest truth. When I have bills that come through, I ask my wife, and luckily her principal allows me to talk to the other teachers and stuff. And I'll say, hey, how does this, in real life, how does this going to work?
Yes.
And they're like, no, this is not going to work. Or yes, if we can do this would work. But that's how it needs to be crafted. A bill needs to be crafted rather than just like Missy, right? May come to me, and we go way back. This is my friend. She said, you know what? I got a problem in the school. I think that we should only go to school 4 days a week because we need this off. Well, I'll go make a bill because of my relationship with her. But I haven't talked to everybody else when they might say, well, okay, if we do 4 days a week, but what else does it impact?
Absolutely.
But because she's my friend, I'm going to go try to take care of her needs. And that's the problem when we don't really get the stakeholders and get a full picture of what's going on.
That. Yeah.
That is good.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about
That's
bringing
real.
people to the table.
That's real talk.
Right.
Now, you can't hurt my feelings with a conversation.
Right.
You know, just either yes or no.
Yeah.
You know, and we can all talk as adults. You know, just don't yell at me or curse at me. Well, Mike can curse, but just don't yell at me. You know.
Absolutely.
No, but that's all. I think there's an opportunity there for us to work on some of those things. But a lot of times they put a poison pill in some of these bills. So, for instance, I don't know if you're in the teachers union or not. So they had a bill that basically it busted the union, but it included pay raises for teachers. Right, one has nothing to do with the other, but they put it in the same bill to try to trap you into something. Well, I voted against it, so it's not that I'm against teachers getting pay raises. I just couldn't do one without the other because I just don't think that it would work. Teachers, that collectively bargaining helps raise wages. So why would I vote against that? Right, we didn't do that to firemen or police. So why are we targeting teachers? So I don't want to take over because I can go all
Oh
out.
no,
You know.
we really enjoy listening.
We
to
like the
your point of
information.
view, because we're all about learning and growing. And
Right.
like you were saying, the only way we're going to be able to do that is by having the uncomfortable conversations. And so with that, I want to ask, when you mentioned the poison pill, when they put extra stuff in bills and people not necessarily knowing what they're doing when they do that, as a people, and I know we're supposed to educate ourselves and vote for the right person, but how can we know that we're necessarily voting for the right people if they may have dishonest gains in the things that they're trying to push upon us, if that makes sense?
One is I encourage people to contact whoever their local or state officials are. We're the closest to you. Like, you're going to see me at the gas station, the grocery store, church. You're going to see me around. Talk to me. Call me. Find out who your state representative and call me. A lot of times people, they don't know who their elected officials are. Like, for instance, people always come up and say, what are you going to do about your school? What are you going to do about our schools? Our schools are doing this. Our schools are doing that. my first question is, do you know who your school board member is? That's what I get. Quiet. You can hear a pin drop.
Yeah,
Right? Because most people don't know. It's like, but we have to work together. We have, in my district, we have a really good a new guy that's our school board member. His name's Robert Taylor. And I work with my council people in my area, Joy Kimbrough, Quante Toombs, Jennifer Gamble, a lot of them in my area. But we talk on a regular basis because there's certain things that I can do that they can do, because people don't really understand what I do and what a city person does, what a city council person does, or a county commissioner does. So it's educating ourselves is number one, just knowing what people do, but also open that line of communication. Reach out, call them. You know, I'm a regular person just like everybody else. Call me, say, hey, I saw this bill. What do you think about it? Or I have this issue but vouchers. I don't think that we should for vouchers, or I am for vouchers. But just call them and have that conversation, because let them know, because we are your representative. I'm just a messenger. I shouldn't be making decisions that my community doesn't agree with.
Right.
Vincent. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Simplicity Radio, and we're so happy to have you here. We want you, if you would like, to call in with a question or with a text. And a lot of you just say, we just love to listen because you have such interesting guests. And I will agree with that. That number is 615-893-1450. Once again, that is 615-893-1450. And also, there is an announcement I would like to make for a very dear close friend of mine. Her name is Marion Bingham. Yes, and that is my sister. Well, they're doing a special appreciation for her, and it will be on the 30th, and it's going to be held at the Smith Fort Tabernacle at 2701 Halls Hill Pike in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And the services will begin at 6 p.m. The services will begin at 6 p.m. and they will honor Deacon William Burge and my sister Marion Bingham. Well, you know what they say, get glasses, and when you have glasses on, let me backtrack. That time is 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Once again, there is a change. 4 to 6:30 p.m. and that is on Saturday. Everybody come out. They deserve this. When I tell you these people have worked in the community, and when they sing the good gospel, it's in your bones. You can feel it. You know, make you want to throw the fan or something. You understand? So there's appreciation for Deacon William Burge and Marion Bingham. And back to our stimulating conversation.
All right. So, Vincent, how important is it for women to vote in toward their own interests?
Well, that's a problem that we just see. It's not just women. It's just here in Tennessee, period. We see a lot of people voting for people who don't represent their interests. We look at just the healthcare. Let's just take healthcare as a generalization. We have people that have voted consistently not to expand Medicaid, but in these rural areas, that's where the hospitals are closing, right? So we've had more hospital closings per capita than any state in the union. And who is it directly impacting? The people in those rural communities, but they still continue to vote for those people. Now, when you introduce vouchers, I just kind of want you to see like that's a puzzle. Not that I'm for or against. Well, everybody knows where I stand, but I'm not trying to convince anybody to be for or against, but I just want to give you the puzzle. Now, at the time, hospitals were the largest employers of these small communities, right? So that's how you get your tax base, how you pay for your schools, that's how you pay for your police, your fire. Well, you take that away, the next largest employer is your school systems. Now, when you introduce vouchers and these other schools that come in, you're going to decimate those areas, because most of them only have one or two schools. They may have one elementary. They may have two elementaries, but they may only have one high school. They can't support that. So if you come in and you put another, I don't know, I guess you would call it a voucher school. I don't know what we'd even call these things. You put one of those schools in here, it's only so many students to go around. So if you take away from that educational base, how are they going to pay their bills? How are they going to do that? So it's a money game. You know, most everything's about economics. It's not really. I think we have to get. Yes, race does play a part in it, but most things come down to economics, and we have to worry about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you were saying how the taxes and makes a difference, and even in the school system, and we know most women are in the school system. You know, like you said, that was an interesting point that you brought up. If more males would come, the salary will go up. You understand? There is something about that mothering spirit that children need today. You know, in my classroom, I'm not only the educator, I'm the school mom. And, you know, I'm giving the eye and, you know, I compliment and correct and all of that. When we talk about the importance of a woman rocking the hand of the cradle, and I look at you, I know you had to have some great women in your life just by your character and the way you represent yourself. Without women, I just believe the nurturing part, we would have a bunch of hard people. You understand?
Yes.
And that and like you said, you use the word balance. Your character has to balance. You have to have nurturing, and then there's the male figure that takes care of the nature of the child, but the women take care of the nurturing of the child. And together, you know, when we grow up, and then you get in government positions and make changes and do right for people. I love that about you. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. Two things that I like to talk about. One is one of the guys that we went to junior high school, and you went to high school with, Marlon Sims. Now he taught math, which, you know, it's like a unicorn, right? Black male teaching math.
Absolutely.
In high school. So, but in order for him to, you know, you become the breadwinner. So, but in order for him to sustain and be in the classroom, he has to coach, which luckily he loves basketball, so he coached basketball. But he can't stay in the classroom because he needs the salary requirements in order to take care of him and his family. So that's a big issue right there. And there was something else. This is what I was going to say. One thing I always thought about this, because early childhood education has kind of become a passion of mine. So I'm like learning. I just like dove in and I want to find out about it. I would love to do an experiment like where we could like take black men, and like I feel like black men should be able to teach kindergarten for 1 year. Just have a whole bunch of black men just teach kindergarten for 1 year. What it would do, it would show people that black men have a caring side. They have a nurturing side, right? And you can be soft and you can do that, but you can also have a male figure in your life. You know? So, but I would love to do that, because, you know, in kindergartens, they're still babies. They still need you. You know, they're not quite ready. Like in a fourth grade might be a tough one, because, you know, they start to develop attitudes at that point. But I just think that if we could do that to show, and it would show that it would humanize us, because, you know, black men have this connotation of being hard or rough or dangerous or, you know, angry and all that stuff. But if we can show that, hey, we do have this nurturing, caring side.
Absolutely.
And we can give this to that child. And just imagine that child remembering, oh, Mr. Smith was my kindergarten teacher. He was the best teacher I had, or you know, I love Mr. Smith. And I wish we could do that and see how what the outcomes would be.
You know, MTSU has a program that they developed, and it is for black males, and they want them to come in to get in early education, you know, in the molding formable years. They are paying for them to go back to school at Middle Tennessee State University. And this, I'm going to get that and put it on our site for anybody who wants to come, because it slips my mind what the name of it is right now, but it's Man of Valor, maybe it's Man of something. And Dr. McPhee agreed with that. They are even paying for your credentials when it comes to the testing. They pay for the test for you, because that test is like $400 to $500 now. And all of that, the resources that it takes for you to graduate, it is complimentary according to the program. And I can't, that name slips me, but Simplicity listeners, we will get it on our Instagram, and we will let you know, because If you want to do it, it is there. If you wanted to be a teacher and you know you couldn't do it because it didn't sustain you nor your family, and now you can come back and retrace those steps and go to your first love, because there are a lot of men that love to teach, but like you said, Vincent, they couldn't because the salary was not comparable to take care of family, a home, and sometimes I would wonder when I got into teaching, why do most teachers have second jobs? Well, when I got in it, I understood.
And in my wife's school, I think there's only 3 men. One teaches 3rd grade. One is, I think he's the art teacher, and the other's the janitor.
Yes.
So they just don't have that exposure around it. So a lot of times people don't even think about that as a career path because they don't see other men in those areas.
That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's like male nurses, and I love male nurses. I love that they give incentives for male nurses. Yeah.
Because they're
Gentle
predominantly
touch.
women, in that field.
Nobody does an IV like a male nurse. It's the truth. But that's another show, Angie B.
The minority of males.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. There is a time when we have to, talk about the tough stuff. The tough stuff. Even when you're doing your job. Let us just in a briefing, what is a day if I were to shadow you? What would the day look like that we vote for you and our vote counts? And I agree with you 100%. Get out and cast
vote.
your vote.
Yes.
So say for instance, what do you give back?
So I feel like I give my soul back, but but at the end, so it depends on the day. So if we have session, that's when we actually go into Capitol and vote on bills. So normally on that day we may have a few meetings, like let's say for Monday. Mondays we have session and it starts at 3:00. So normally I'll have some meetings. I have some meetings at 12 that I might meet with constituents or somebody, or it could be a lobbyist. It could be somebody that's advocating for a bill one way or another. So I'll meet with them. Then about 2:00 we have a caucus meeting. And we go in and we talk about what are good bills, bad bills, how we feel about them, how we, just to educate, because we don't all sit on all the committees. So we have to divide and conquer. But that's our one time for everybody to come in and download, because there's a lot of committees. And if you sit on the ag committee and I'm on the education committee, and then if there's a bill that deals with ag, I may be interested in ag, but because I wasn't on that committee, I didn't know that bill was coming through, so you kind of helped me. So we do that, and then we sit there and we go through the session. Normally it lasts 2-3 hours right now, but it'll as we get toward the end, it'll ramp up until 4 and 5 hours. But on a regular day when I don't have caucus, sometimes I can have 15 to 20 meetings with constituents, people that's advocating for a bill one way or other, and then during all that time I have to read up on the bills in my committee meetings, because I have committee meetings as well. So you want to make sure that you understand what you're voting on, and then if you have a bill, you have to go advocate for your bill and have meetings with the other people on the committee to try to get them to vote for your bill. So it's very time consuming. So it's a full-time job with part-time pay. So
Now, you said something right there.
Sure did.
I like that because that's how I feel.
yeah. People assume that we make a lot of money. I think we just got a raise. I think it's $26,000 a year. So if this was my sole income, I couldn't do this.
Absolutely not.
So it's definitely a labor of love, and it's taxing. It's wearing on you. This General Assembly, these last 4 years have been really, really tough. It seems like it's getting worse. The atmosphere, the energy is just tough right there. And I just don't know how long we can continue going down this road of being so combative and being so adversarial. And we have gotten off the point of why we're here. We're supposed to be here to help people, to make Tennesseans' lives better. But it seems like we're getting into it for political power or political aspirations or the next job, right? And nobody's doing the job they want to do. I mean, just right before you. And that's a problem. And it wears on you. I'm like, literally, I'm promised all my hair was black. All this was black. And so the Obama effect is really real.
Yeah. Because when Obama was in, He was all black,
was black.
just
Mhm.
laid down hair, wave. Had so many waves that it made you seasick. And then he became gray and graying, but it was a nice gray, and you wear it well. It's distinguished.
Yeah.
You-
Thank
that,
you.
that distinguished look, meaning that you're a man of honor and that you're making changes. And even with that, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Simplicity Radio, and we love that you have tuned in tonight with Representative Vincent Dixie. And we have a phone call. So welcome to Simplicity.
Thank you for the show, and Representative, thank you for being there on the show. It seems that debate in the committees and even on the floor has really been limited this year. And what can we do to encourage our Republican representatives to allow debate to actually take place? Because it just feels like it's not happening.
Right, and the very definition of what we do is we're a deliberative body, which means we deliberate and we talk about things. And as we were talking about earlier, when you don't talk about things fester and they boil. And like when earlier I made a reference that we didn't talk about religion, finances, things of that nature. And now look where we are because we haven't talked about it. We're at an impasse right now. The one thing that we could do is like show up in those committee meetings, and we have especially as a concerned citizen to actually see what happens and be like, that's my representative that's acting like that is not allowing debate. Because one of the things that we limit debate so much on there, and that's one of the issues that I have is like, if you don't want to be here, then go home.
See,
Why did you take this job if you didn't want to sit here and debate things? Because that's how we get to the actual bottom, or we can agree to not to disagree, but we have to have that conversation. And that is one of the things that pains me and that's upsetting, because we don't even talk about stuff. But when you have this super majority, that's what they do. You got to know the rules. They use the rules to their advantage, and they shut us down because we just don't have the numbers to keep it going. And once they get their directive, then that's what it is. And when they call for the question, or they basically call for the question really quick and they shut us down when we had ready to have a debate, that's very frustrating. But I would encourage if you're out there and if you have the time, make time to come up there and sit in the committee meeting. Get to follow who your local elected official is, your state representative, and then have that conversation like, hey, why did you do this? Or why did you not vote for that? Or why did you vote for that? Make them answer your question. Make them defend their answer, because it's like, hey, you're representing me.
absolutely.
And honestly, that's why I ran for office, because I felt like nobody could represent me like me.
Hey.
Awesome.
To be honest. So, but thank you for that question, and I hope to see you around. If you ever up at the Capitol, please come up to me and introduce yourself to me, and let me take you around to my committee meetings and have you talk to some people for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
Thank you
right.
for calling in.
And tell him that so he can remember you. Say, I was the call on Simplicity.
Yeah.
And then help him with all that complexity. That's a good statement.
Exactly.
Well, tell us once again when you were saying about, I loved it when you said that's why you ran, because like even in different communities and different cultures, you're not encouraged to go in the government and make the changes. Our civics and all that's taken out of the schools most of the time, to say that's even something to look forward to as an inspiration or aspiration. Now, when we were talking about women's rights, and the thing about being sexually harassed, do you find that you see more of that now in different companies, or even where you're working, where I'm working? We see this, and then some people try to push it under the rug as if oh, that's okay, watch how you dress, or watch what you say. What are your thoughts on that? Just kind of elaborate a little.
Let's say again, I do have two daughters, 19 and 17, so I do take that personally.
Absolutely.
And I was like, no one deserves to be assaulted because of what you're wearing or how you look. That's not your job. Is not to make somebody else feel comfortable, and they don't have the right to impose themselves on you as well. Actually, there was a bipartisan bill that was between a Republican, Todd Warner, and a Democrat, Afton Bain, which is going to basically strengthen our sexual harassment policy at the Capitol.
Good.
And I was the only Democrat on the committee. The bill didn't get heard because I was the only one that made the motion. They didn't have a second. And these are the other Republicans. But it was a really good bill that was going to help strengthen our sexual harassment policies in the state capitol. So it kind of tells you that the attitude, because it's like, hey, it's what, it's not for not for you, but it's not for thee, right? So we have to work on that a lot, but we have to continue to like push and hold people accountable. But if most people, they, especially in the areas outside of like Nashville, they don't feel like it's their representative that's doing this stuff. That's not my guy. That's the people up there in Nashville doing that stuff. But it's that same guy that you see at the grocery store that you go to church with that's doing some of the most hateful things.
Hateful is a good word.
And I feel like I sit in a room full of a bunch of hypocrites because every day we start off with prayer. And then we turn around and do some of the most ugliest things to people.
Wow.
And it's like, why do we even pray if you don't really have it in your heart? Is it just ceremonial? But if it's not in your heart, then why are we doing it? And that bothers me. I know I just take your question and turn it into what I want to answer. But
No, that was
What do they say? Never answer the question, right?
The way I want
Because
to.
my main thing, whether you're voting or whether you're in politics, whatever you want to call it, government, whether you're in the church, love is practice action.
Yes.
And wherever you are, if that doesn't supersede everything else, and like you said, a Democrat and a Republican came together to try to strengthen this sexual harassment law, but other people didn't even jump on. See, that's the issue. That this is real life that's happening to people. And if you're not there to make a difference, I agree with you. Why are you there?
And my problem with that whole scenario is that, like, they worked hard on their bill. I worked hard on my bill. I may not agree with some of the bills, but I think everyone has the opportunity and has the right to have their bill heard.
Yes.
And so why not give somebody a second so they can at least explain why they're running this bill? Because that bill, it may be expensive. Just like the example that I used earlier about Missy is, she brought that to me, but if I don't get a second, then I can't even explain to her why that was important to her. So when I got to go back to her and say, you know what, they wouldn't even hear my bill. And then that's kind of creates this apathy that we have in government now. People feel like, oh, nothing's going to get done. But things will get done. We can change stuff. They've gerrymandered our state on a local level and things of that nature, but we can change this. Tennessee is 50th. That means there's nowhere else to go in voter turnout. We were 48, so we're 50th. So that goes to show that if you come out and vote, especially the age range from 18 to 25, you can change any election in this state. We just need to balance. A super minority is not good either way, on either side. But we need to get to a balance where people can govern, where you actually have to go have a conversation with somebody and then actually work your bill. Because now it's just like, Angela, if y'all 4 women and I'm outnumbered, I can't, and we do this democratically, and I say something, you're like, well, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do it this way, or you come up with something crazy that we got to deal with, and everybody's on board just because you have the super majority. You're not really governing. You're just ruling and you're just doing stuff. I'm trying to keep from cursing, but I'm trying to remember this.
Jesus, take the wheel.
You're right. When that happens, people in the community, the first thing they say is, y'all aren't doing anything for us. You're trying.
You have no idea some of the bad bills that we stop. Like, even right now, the good thing is that even with the Republicans, they have so many factions because they're good. So sometimes we may be able to align with a group of Republicans who aren't happy about something, but it's like there's no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, just only permanent issues, right?
Say that again.
Yes, there's no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. It's just permanent issues.
Wow, that's good.
So what we do is sometimes we're able to stop bad bills, and that's what you don't hear about. But we work really hard. And so if we pass a bill, man, we've worked really hard to get that bill passed, because a lot of times it is just not going to have, like, for instance, I have a bill right now, and all it does is it levels the playing field. If you committed a crime before 1986 or after 1996, there's a way to get your citizenship rights back. But if you committed that same crime between 86 and 96, there's no pathway for you to do that. So it's a loophole that nobody even noticed that. You know, and how I found out about it, one of my constituents came to me, and she's the she has a special need granddaughter, and the granddaughter turned 19, so she has to become a conservator. But her grandmother, she committed a crime back in 1989, but because of that law, she can't get her citizenship rights back because she can't be a fiduciary if you have a felony. I'm sorry. So, but she's done everything that she's supposed to do, and she's went to a judge. You know, she's changed her life, reestablished herself as a great citizen, checked all the boxes. But the judge was like, "Hey, I would love to. You're a great candidate, but the law says I can't help you." So that's when I created a bill to just make it an even playing field. Because why should you be handicapped just because you committed the same crime in 1984 or you committed in 1999? But if you commit in 1989, you can't. There's no pathway. It's just to create some uniformity in the law. And believe it or not, I've had problems trying to just get that passed. You know why? Because it will help people get back into society, and they're assuming, because it's not voting rights. Voting rights and citizenship rights are two different things. But you know, people, they just assume this is going to help people get voting rights back. And you know, I think we should help anybody that should vote. You know, to vote, because I don't think people realize that every state doesn't take away your voting rights just because you have a felony. That's just something we do here in Tennessee. There's others. As soon as you are finished with your sentence, you can get your voting rights back automatically. But we don't do that here.
It's almost like they still punish you even when you've paid the time for the crime. You know.
You know what? I found out that there is no certain. You know, that's just a phrase when you say you pay your debt to society. Because you in Tennessee, you never really pay your debt because it's going to always follow you around, right? And that's why it's called the Department of Corrections. It's supposed to correct the behavior that you had. But here in Tennessee, is really the Department of Punishment. You know, so.
I do have a question on what you said about if you commit a crime here in Tennessee that they're supposed to correct it, but then you're kind of in debt to what you did however long ago. So if you did something in Tennessee and you moved to a different state, would you still be held liable for the things that you did in Tennessee if the state laws somewhere else is different? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's part of your arrest record. So yes, they will always be able to know, unless you get it's one of those expungible offenses. We in Tennessee, we have done a great thing about you can get one offense expunged, but it depends on the level of it. You know, it's exclusion of murder, rape, things of that nature. You can't do treason, can't do that. But there's a lot of offenses that you can get expunged, and they in Tennessee they'll do it for free. People just have to go. And one thing I don't think people realize that, let's say if you were charged with a crime and it got dismissed, it's always going to show up on your record that you were arrested, but you can get that expunged. You know, so because it'll show, so people don't realize that you still have to go and get that taken off your record. I see the wheels rolling.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Now, what is the process for getting it expunged? If it's on your record, and like you said, there's so many in our community. And when I say our community, I mean whatever culture you have, but I know my culture and the black culture of that have felonies, that have, you know, anything that it's almost like it's permanent.
You can go to your circuit court clerk. So in Davidson County, Howard Gentry does an excellent job of doing that. Basically, if you go there, they'll hand walk you through everything. You do. And they also have a lot of churches have started to have expungement clinics. And basically, when you come there, and or community organizations have like expungement clinics. Rachel Bell has basically set up a like a community court, and she helps people through those situations. So there's a lot of ways out there to do that, and like hopefully in Rutherford County, if you would get with your circuit court clerk, they could probably set up an expungement clinic as well, and you can do it like on a Saturday, because a lot of times people can't take off work to come do a lot of that stuff. So they do it on Saturdays or after hours, and you get hopefully you can kind of, maybe you have a community event, and that could be a part of the community event that you do.
Oh, and when we have our community event, because we're going to start having some, and just to our Simplicity family, and share us, like us on YouTube, because you can listen now, you can listen later, and when we get ready to have these Simplicity chats, we want representatives to come like yourself. And because when we share the knowledge and the knowledge turns to wisdom, we can apply this and start making changes in our communities. And just the mindset that you're somebody. You use the word the humanity. That's one of my main words in my life, is humanity and humility. Until we see people as human beings, and even when we vote and people are in there doing bills and trying to change the laws, you have to have some good character behind you. You have to care. You have to have that love to show people that, I'm here to make a difference. How can I make a difference in your community? Go back and have community meetings or town hall meetings to see what the community needs. It's almost like when we vote, then we don't see the person anymore, And I know you're not that kind of person, because I can hear when you say, we constantly talk, we constantly do this. We're looking out ourselves. God, lead us to those people that they will come in, if that's your aspiration in government. It's never been mine, but I kind of like talking to you. I think I might can run for something.
You know what? There's one of the things that I would love to do, I was kind of working on, is that like a lot of teachers, when they retire, because like for instance, like my wife, this is her only job she's had since college, right? She's going to be fairly young when she retires.
Yes.
And this is kind of an experiment. Maybe I should say this, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Who cares?
Go on, tell her.
Anyway.
She'll love you anyway.
Well, no, I feel this kind of one of the things I would like to do, especially in these rural areas, have the teachers run for office as their second career, because a lot of them, they're in their early 50s.
That's true.
Maybe even late 50s. But in those smaller communities, you've seen 2 or 3 generations of people, right? So they don't know Angela the Democrat or Angela the Republican. They just know Miss Angela.
Come on.
Right? So they know you as the person. And then I think that they get them into office, and you're going to have people that are naturally caring people because of being a teacher. And that could change too. So
I love when
so
you
maybe
said,
you almost right there.
You see, come on now, you gonna sponsor me? No, okay. Put some money in that campaign. Okay, our Jackson, our producer, he does things in a spirit of excellence. So when he walks in the studio, we know it's time to say this: we are not out of talk, but we are out of time. So we want to thank everybody. Thank you, Vincent.
Yes,
this will not be your last time. It's your first time with Simplicity, but it will not be your last. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. God bless you. And let this Palm Sunday be a Sunday that you know that ain't nobody like Jesus. Hey. All right. Good night. We love you.
Congratulations, Millette.
Thank you, Millette. Thank you, everyone.